So let's continue. HTML quotation and citation elements. In this particular slide, we'll be talking about the block quotes, the Q tag, the abbreviation tag, address tag, site tag, and PDO tag. So without much ado, let's get to it. But first thing you need to know that the block quote element defines a section that is quoted from another source. Let's create this. So I'm going to create a new document called quotes.html, and we're going to put everything back in. So we'll change the title to HTML quotes. So I copied everything from our formatting elements, from our formatting document, and the body, I will delete everything. So let's save, let's reload this, and now we have quotes. So let's check it out. So you see quotes is empty. Now, to create a block quote is very simple, all right? So let's do it. The first thing I will do is, let me make a quote. I love to give quotes, so I will say, I will create a p tag that says, this is a quote by Precious. And what does my quote says? To tell you what my quote says, I will use a what? A block quote. So you create a block quote to create the quote. So block quote, that is the tag name. And you see it has been closed. And I can create and I can put in what I want. So I would say, I love to create applications. That is why I am learning to be a programmer. So this is a quote by Mr. Precious, and let's save this and see. So you can see when you use a block quote, it's going to push the text away from the side. You see the p tag is here and the quote is like at the middle. So that's the difference. So a block quote is going to put your content in a block on a separate side. The next element we have there in our quote and citation is the quote tag, that is Q for short quotation. So the difference between this and the block quote is that for the short quotation, you want to quote something inside of a paragraph. So let's say I create another paragraph and I say something like my target is to what? So my target will be what? So I'll create a Q tag because I want to make a quote there, right? And you see I have my closing Q tag. Always take note of the opening tags and the closing tag. Then in between, I will say my target is to train over 5,000 Africans like me. Let's save this and see what we have. You can see when you use the Q tag, it puts an apostrophe. It puts a quote for your element. So you see, I have a quote. That's because I use the Q. So that is it with the Q tag. Please, everything I'm doing, try it out with me. You can even change the content of my elements to something you like. You can change my name to your name. You can use any quote you like. Always try to change everything I've done. Very important. The next one is what we call abbreviation. So we can create abbreviation and let's use our common abbreviation, that is HTML, right? So I can say I will create a p tag and close it, and I will do this and say the HTML is very easy to learn. Okay, so I want to create an abbreviation for this HTML. So what do? I can just cut it out and I will create the abbreviation tag. I will say ABBR. So that is short for abbreviation. So you see opening and closing tag, then I can put it in between. And if we reload the page, you can see HTML is very easy to learn. But if you want the abbreviation to show, you have to use the title attribute. So if I say title, and what is the full meaning of HTML? We say hypertext markup language. If we reload this, now you can see there's an underline. Let me zoom this. I lost my zoom. There's an underline under HTML. If I put my mouse on it, you can see the abbreviation is showing out there. So this is a good way to mark up your elements. Let's proceed. The next one is address. So address is just for you to write out your address. It's not a popular tag, but it's just, I'm going to do this for you to know, for knowledge sake. So I'm going to put in my current location. I'm going to use a dummy address. So I will say 141 Precious Avenue. I'm going to put a break tag. So you can see now we are using all our tags. Precious Avenue, Lagos, put a break tag. Nigeria, put a break tag. And I'll say Africa. If I save this and we check this in the browser, you can see because of the address tag, everything is in italics. And we use the break tag to create new lines. Okay. So the other ones here are not so important, so I'm not going to talk about them, but it's just for knowledge sake. Okay. It's just for knowledge sake. But I would, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. I mean, it's on my slide. Let's do it. So for sites, to cite something, we can do it like this. Previously, I created a poem, right? My dummy poem. So let's see if we can get the poem back. I think it was in paragraph. So I'm going to copy this poem. Let's reuse it. So I've created a poem. Let's see it. This is my poem. Now, to use the site tag is how you tell people that you are the owner, okay, of something. So I'm going to create a p tag. And what's the name of this poem? The name of this poem is The Precious. So we're going to use site The Precious by Precious Iriaevho. So The Precious is the name of the poem, okay? That is why it's in site, created by me. So if I reload, you can see The Precious by Precious Iriaevho. So that is site. It's pretty straightforward. And list here is BDO. So BDO is used to change the direction of the text. Normally our text goes from left to right. So I'm going to use this quote. Let me copy this quote. And let's create a BDO tag. So BDO, reload. You see it appears normally, right? BDO, this is it. This one here is what is bringing this out. But we can change the direction. And how do we change that? We just say dir, that is dar, and we can say right to left. Normally we do left to right. So right to left is I think Arabic. So you see the text has changed from I love whatever. So you start reading from the end. I love to, well, I would be surprised if you can read this anyways. So guys, this is it on HTML quotation and citation elements. The next thing we want to talk about is HTML comments. So HTML comments can be used to create a comment on your document that you don't want others to see in the browser, or you can use it to hide content. I do this a lot. So let's create a comment. Just under BDO, let's create a comment. So an HTML comment is created by using the lesser than, exclamation mark, and dash dash. So you can see this is a comment already. Anything I type here will not be shown. So this is a comment. If I reload the page, You see, you can't see it. Even the text editor is hiding it already. It's telling you that it is hiding it. Also, I can hide this video with the comment tag. If I copy this and I put it just above it, and I copy the ending comment tag and I put it here, you can see if I reload, this thing will be gone. So I'm hiding it. You can see it's no longer shown. But let's see what happens if we check source code. You can see it can be seen in the source code, but it cannot be seen on the browser itself. All right, guys, let's proceed. The next thing we need to learn is HTML link. So let's create a new document called links. I hope you're following. So I'll call this links.html and I'll paste everything that we copied. So I copied everything from quotes file. Delete all we have in the body and change the title to HTML links. So if we open this in a new page, you see it is empty. So when you browse or use websites, you have to click on links to visit another page. And that is what we are trying to create here now. To create a link, you use the simple A tag. Okay, this is the tag, A tag, but it needs some things, because let's assume I want to create a link to google.com or Google, or I will say go to Google. Go to Google. If I reload this, let's see what happens. You see, we have it, but nothing is happening, right? Our link tag is not correct, it's not complete. To make it complete, we have to add an attribute called href. Href is going to be where you want the page to go to. So if I say equal to, then I can now put the Google link, https google.com. If we reload this page, now you can see our text is now in blue and there's an underline. If I click on it, let's see what happens. And as you can see, it has taken us to google.com. So let's go back. Let's go back. So this is actually a simple HTML link tag. There's another attribute I want you to know. So remember, when we click on Google, it's open on this page, right? We can do it whereby when we click, it doesn't open on this page, it opens a new tab, and we use the target attribute and we use blank. You say blank. If we save this and reload, when you click on it, you see now it opens on a new tab. Our former tab is still there. Okay, so you see, this is basically how you create an HTML tag. And when it comes to link, you have what we call the absolute and the relative. So absolute is what we've done. Absolute is the one that takes you to another place. But on our same computer, we can use the same, we can visit link on the same computer. And that is by using relative link. So I have a picture here, or I can go back, I can link to my paragraph document. And how do I do that? Let's create the link. So A, then remember the href. Then in between the A tag, we say go to paragraph file. And the paragraph file, the name is what? Paragraph.html, because they are in the same folder. If we reload this now and see, so let's put a break tag here, or let's use hr tag for horizontal line. You see, we are using all our tags now. So you see, this one takes us to Google, right? But if we click on go to paragraph file, it opens our paragraph file. You see how wonderful HTML is? So this is it. This is how it works with HTML. Now guys, let's proceed. The next one is HTML images. When you are building websites, you want to create or use images, right? So let's get to this. Let's create a new file called image.html. And I'm going to drop this here, change the title to image. So please, for you to do this, just copy any image from your computer to your HTML folder and give it any name. To create an image file or tag, we use Iriaevho. It's a self-closing tag, okay? A self-closing tag. So if I open it now, you see nothing is being displayed because it needs some attributes. The first one is called src. Src is where your image is. And where is my image? In my folder. So I call my image property.jpg. You can see it here already. This is it, property.jpg. If I reload this page, you can see my image has been displayed here now. That is how it works. Also, you have another attribute called alternate. So I will call this property image. This one will show when the image cannot be found. So let me spell this image incorrectly. Save. Let's reload. Oh, sorry. I did not write that well. So it should be in between the apostrophes. So you can see, because it cannot find the image, it's going to show you the alternate, which is property image. But if I put back the JPG correctly, you see the image is being shown, the alternate is not being shown. Okay? So also, you can use, there are some other attributes, but it's just basically image, and it's important that you understand this. So when we create a complex website, we are going to put all this to use. But simply, this is how it functions. And also, you can use the image as a link. So we can use this image as a link by creating a tag. So images can be used as link too. So if I drop this, I can copy the image tag. So instead of text, I can put the image and href. And where should it go to? Let's take it back to Google, right? Google, https google.com. So let's save this now. And if you see, we've turned our image to a link. See, if I put my mouse over it, you can see now it's showing the and sign because it's now a link. If I click on it, it should take us to Google. Let's try it. And as you can see, it has taken us to Google. So I have turned the image to a link. So we are showing the image and we are also using the image as a link. Let's proceed. The next one is HTML tables. So HTML tables allows you as a web developer to arrange data into tables and rows. Anything can be inside of a table. You can put image, you can put text, you can put link, you can put lists, anything, even other tables inside of the table. So let's create our first HTML table. And how do we do that? Copy this, create a new file called table.html. And I'll paste all this, then I will delete everything we have inside here. I'll call it, the title should be HTML table. Always inculcate the habit of giving good titles to your documents. Open a new tab, and you see our page is blank currently. To create a table, you use tables. You've seen it in Excel, everywhere there are tables. To create a table, it's simple. All we need to do is, the first thing first is we create a table tag. Table. So it's an opening and closing tag, okay? You can reload, nothing is shown. Then when you have a table, the next thing you have is you have rows and columns. So a row is horizontal. So the horizontal line is a row. then the vertical line from top to bottom is a column. From left to right is a row. Okay, take note. So in tables, you create your rows first. And how do you create your rows? You use TR, which is an opening and a closing tag again. So let's create the TR. Then inside of the TR, you then have what we call the TD. So the TD is what will be inside of each row. So we now have TD. So it is inside this TD you put your content. So let's say we want to call this name. You can create another TD. We can call it country. Let's reload our page and see. So you can see you have name and you have country. Okay? You have name and you have country. So our table is visible, even though it's just looking like this. It's visible already. You can create more rows. So I can copy this and I can paste it. And I can, for the name, I can put my name, Precious. My country is Nigeria. And as you can see, it's taking shape, right? I can copy and I can put this and I can use somebody else's name. I can say Masha. Masha is from Kenya. I don't know if that's a Kenyan name, but I'm just doing that. So you see, we have tables now. So we have our row and we have columns. We have 2 columns and 3 rows currently. Okay, so basically this is how table works. You create your table and you give it the content that you want it to have. Okay, guys. So when we get to CSS, we are going to style our tables. We are going to style them. Like I said, we are going to style our table in CSS, but we can do something. We can add a border attribute to our table just to make it have some, table feeling. So I can say border 1 or 2. And if we reload this, you can see we have our border already. Okay. If I use 1, so this makes it looks like a table, but in CSS, we can do this properly. But this video is not about CSS, it's just HTML only, so that you understand the structure before we start styling. All right. So let's proceed. So that is it on HTML table. Very straightforward. And remember, I said we can also put image in a table. So let's try it out. So let's create another TR. But instead of Masha, we can just put, let's use our image here. Okay. So IMG. Then the SRC is property.jpg. And if we reload, you can see the image is in our table now. So guys, you see that it works. You can use an image in the table. You can put anything inside of your table. Let's proceed. The next thing we would work on is what we call HTML lists. You've seen lists everywhere, but today you're going to create your own list. So I'll call this list.html. And let's copy everything from links. They sound similar. So I will change this title to lists and delete everything that we have in here. And also, we are going to clear our browser. Oh, someone is called Masha actually. I'm sorry, but I need to see Masha. Interesting. Oh, Masha and the bear. Masha and the bear. Oh, precious Nigeria, Masha, Kenya. Okay, okay. Wow, I'm actually, oh, I don't know. So let's proceed. Sorry, that was a side distraction for me. It was interesting. So HTML list. We are working with lists. So list is a way for you to group a set of related items. Okay, you put them in a list. So without talking too much, let's get to it. So we have 2 types of lists: ordered list and unordered list. So we will start with the ordered, or let's start with the unordered list. It doesn't matter. Let's do any one that comes first. So to create a list, an unordered list, you use the UL. Okay, opening UL and closing UL. Then inside, you now have the LI tag. So these are where you put your list. So let's assume we want to list names of countries in Africa. So let's create a P tag and say African countries. So let's list them. Sorry guys, I'm Nigeria, so I will always put Nigeria first. Put your country first. Be a patriot. Be a good citizen. Then we create another one. I could call this Ghana because they are our neighbor here. They are close to Nigeria. I would also list another African country called Cameroon. Cameroon is close to Nigeria and we love them a lot. Okay, so if I reload this now, you see African countries and you see the list is working properly. Also, we can copy all these to create an unordered list. The same thing, but instead of the U, you use what we call, you use O. You use letter O. So that means ordered list. It is ordered. And let's see what happens if it is ordered. So let's save this and reload. So you see, when it is ordered, it uses numbers. When it is unordered, it uses what? It uses the disk to show you the contents. So you see, you can already have ideas of how to make this work. You could, if you want to probably give steps, you can use the ordered list. And if you want to give a item that is not ordered, you use the unordered list. Okay. So it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty straightforward. So I think with ordered list, we can also use the attribute called type. Okay, so we use it to change the way it appears. So if I put A here, let's see what happens. You see it has changed to small letter ABC. If I change this to capital letter A, so you can decide on how you want to use your list ordering. It doesn't matter. And I think with UL we can do it too. Let me try it. I think type. I can't remember very well. Sorry, that's capital letter type. So let's say disk, but this is a disk already. It's already a disk. Let's say box. Is it box? Okay, not box. So we have different style types anyways. So I think let me see, what was that? So I'm trying to think. I think disk, not box. We have disk. I think we have square. Yeah, square. It should be square. Yeah, that's square. So if you look at it, it has changed from a circle. So you see we have square. If I change it back to disk, it becomes circular. So you can see we have disk, we have square. Okay. So guys, this is it on lists. You can create all sorts of things with lists. Very straightforward too. Now let's proceed to the next one. And the next one is what we call HTML block and inline elements. So it's important that you know what are block and inline elements because it's going to make life very easy for you. So block elements are elements that take the full length of the page, while inline are those that does not take the full length of the page. Example of our block elements is what we call the div. So let's see this in action. So I'll just call this block, though we're going to do everything block and inline. So some elements we take a full page, while some elements, sorry, not a full page, a full line, while some elements we not take a full line. So I'll just call this block and inline. So we'll see how this works now. Block. Okay, good. So right here now, there are a lot of block level elements. The first one we've been working with is the paragraph tag. So if I say precious, Okay, if you notice, Precious is here, right? What if I duplicate it and put it here, or even in front? Even in front doesn't mean it to appear on the same line. You see, they are on different line. This is what makes it a block level element. If I click on inspect, let me move this to the bottom. How do I dock it to the bottom? Yeah, so it's at the bottom. If I click on the first Precious, you can see it takes the full length of the page. The second one takes the full length of the page. That's how you know block level elements. Okay, but if you want an element that is not block level, we have something like a span, or let's say div. I wanted to use div. We're going to use div a lot, so it's a block level element, and I put Precious again, or I say block, and I create the next one called span inline. If I reload, you can see we have them, right? But if I inspect, you see the block level element is on the full line, but the inline element, see, is not on the full line. If I put other inline beside it, see, inline in front, you will see that they will all appear on the same line. You see, that's why they are inline elements. They don't take the full length. But you see this block, it takes the full length. So div is a block, paragraph is a block, span is not a block level element. Okay. Also, your link tag is not a block level element. There are so many tags that are not block level elements. And when we start programming, you're going to see them all in action. I just want you to understand that we have some elements that will take the full length of the page, while some elements would not take the full length of the page. So guys, remember, I don't like it when the videos are too long. So in the next video, we are going to go into HTML forms. Okay? We are going to go into HTML forms and input tags. But for now, we've ended the video on HTML blocks and inline elements. In the next one, we will talk about HTML forms and HTML input tags. This is where you create your contact forms, this is where you collect information from users. So guys, I'm excited and I hope you are. We'll continue from where we'll be stopping right now in HTML forms and input tags.